Welcome to Inclusive Cyber, your front row seat to understand how a diverse mix of voices is not just necessary, but essential to protect our most sensitive computer networks and personal data. I'm your host, Danny Magallanes, and through my podcast, we shine the spotlight on the heroes and trailblazers from every corner of society who are redefining the diversity, equity, and inclusion frontier. Every episode is a step towards a cyber community that's as varied as it is united, where everyone has the keys to unlock their potential and the power to protect our digital world. Join us on this journey where every listen, every share, every dialogue inches us closer to this new reality. Gilda, welcome to Inclusive Cyber. How are you this morning?
Muchas gracias, Dani. Esto es un privilegio poder estar aquí. ¿Te podemos hablar en inglés o en español? ¿Cómo tú lo prefieres?
We can do both, but just translate for the audience, just in case they don't know el español.
En español. Vámonos al inglés. Listo.
Okay. Gilda, can you provide a quick background for the audience, how you got into your current profession and just a little bit about yourself?
So I'm from Ecuador. I came to the United States when I was 12. I started high school at that time, a little bit early, but I fell in love with computers immediately because I took a computer science class. In my class, it was offered. And because it was such an easy way to communicate with a computer, and I didn't have to speak so fast because I was just into a new language, new culture, I started getting interested in programming very early. I come from an environment where a coffee farm in the mountains in Ecuador, and there was no you do one thing, girls do, boys do another thing. We all did the same thing. I climbed trees. I did everything the boys did. So to me, that whole thing where girls do one thing and boys do, that wasn't part of my culture. So when I came to the United States, most of the people that I was in my computer science were guys. So I realized very early that it was a fight. It was a competition to get the keyboard. So the teacher would give me a computer for myself because I would fight for the keyboard. That was my first experience in computer science, and I didn't know it was going to be for the rest of my career, but here I am.
Oh, I love that. And especially in coming from an environment where very few opportunities you have to access technology and computers. So, that's great. Wow.
You know, one thing is in my school, the guy that developed WhatsApp graduated from my school too.
Oh,
So
really?
the exposure to computers to him early in his high school years was very critical. And it's critical for any community because you start developing ideas and visions of where you can go early.
With that being said, when you were learning the computer, did you have any mentors that helped you along the way?
Not at all. I think most of my career has been because I love learning and it's something that I'm always figuring out new things. It's like an engineer mind. I have a mind of troubleshooting problems. And so I taught myself most of the stuff. I didn't even know the language, but the computer was a lot easier to program and understand because the language is language.
Oh, that's awesome. And for me, I'm a big proponent of mentors and mentee relationship, but there are going to be certain times for certain people that don't have that opportunity. So I really admire your grit and determination to really learn and program. It's funny, when I first, my brother ended up getting a 10D1000 back in the mid 80s, and I had a book of BASIC, and it took me like 3 days to type everything. And nothing happened after I finished programming. I'm like, what happened? So I had to go back and analyze everything. And then when I finally found the mistakes, I hit enter, and then just a couple of fireworks went off. I'm like, this is too much work for little reward. And I left it. So I'd rather play, at the time, Nintendo. For me, it was just very theoretical and just a lot of time when it comes to that.
Well, I had a vision of what could be the future. My dad at that time had a painting company and the typewriters. Hello, I was learning how to type. So I wanted to be able to help him. I was very young. And I incorporated a computer into his business as well, because you had the Word, your Excel, all these new things that were coming out that Microsoft was bringing to the table. I saw that it would improve any business. And at that moment, my dad's business.
And it takes that younger generation to really teach the older one about technology and how it can make, especially with a family business, run a little bit more efficient. In our previous conversation, you had mentioned data literacy.
Yes.
And you're super passionate about that. So I know you first started programming. As you progressed through your career, when did that data literacy passion come from? Can you walk us through that evolution from programming to that data literacy?
When I graduated college, I had built a software for AT&T Wireless where they were able to remove all the papers. Everything was put in a database. Everything was, they gave me an award to go to Hawaii because it helped them a lot. And I could see the importance of automation and an application for back in 1998. Those days. Today, we're in the same place. This time, we don't know the possibilities that data can have for many organizations, and we don't know how to use data. I happen to have gone to college and I learned Visual Basic, I learned programming language that helped me build these things for this company. So I had the knowledge to help this organization. I had the knowledge to help my dad. But had I not known about what computer science was offering, you don't know what you don't know. So today, because I know the insides and out of data, of the data domain, I can tell you that it is the source, or it is what ignites artificial intelligence. So we have to be able to understand it at least, so that artificial intelligence can do all the magic that it's supposed to do.
I definitely like that. And I know we're going to be talking about AI shortly, because I know you're definitely passionate about that. And it's a transformative technology. And a lot of people don't really understand it right now. A couple of questions. When it comes to data, what's your perspective about trying to protect our own data? That when we're filling out applications for either jobs or medical, how can consumers protect their data? And how can they use their data?
There's two questions here. How do we use data and how do we protect data, right? So, as an individual, I would say, to be honest with you, everything is public. You see every day in the news, somebody hacked. Everything is, companies are not 100% secure from hacking and cybersecurity. I've gotten used to changing my credit cards every 6 months. I can't stop what's happening out there. I can only prevent it from impacting me. I'm always checking my credit. I'm always checking that nobody's using my Social Security for work. So I'm always just checking on a 6 month basis, kind of like under the doctor, doing an annual check. Your data security becomes your responsibility now to have your own evaluation year. As far as how do we use data, that's a whole different thing. So there are so many sources of data sets out there that we can dive into: real estate, finance, marketing. We can dive into anything. What we need to learn is how to analyze data. And that is the step of data literacy. Once we start understanding data, we can learn to analyze data. This is not rocket science. We have platforms out there that are free. I mentor women to learn how to analyze data. And for any decision that you're going to make, analyzing data is going to give you that competitive edge. I mentored this young man who is looking for a job, couldn't find a job, but because he was able to learn how to utilize Power BI and analyze data, he found a job. Now, it doesn't have to be Power BI, it could be Tableau, it could be multiple dashboards or visualization or anything that you come across that you can learn. We're just learning to look at the data, and the softwares actually do a lot of the hard lifting. But you have to understand, like, data comes in different shapes. Data comes in images, in documents, and text. So many things that you need to understand to organize the data and be able to build your analysis. So when I go into data literacy, I mean is understanding how to analyze data.
Yeah, no, I definitely love that, Gilda. And another piece, data comes in different forms. It's about normalizing it, right? Initially, before you start analyzing. Sorry, my analytical brain as Intel analyst is definitely coming up. I appreciate that background and kind of that foundational knowledge when it comes to data and how to leverage it for good. So I really want to go into your thoughts of generative AI. So AI, I've played around with ChatGPT and its derivatives and competitors. What's your perspective when it comes to data literacy and now this, I don't want to call it newer technology because AI has been around for quite some time, but I think it's the large language models that is a little bit newer. What's your thoughts on Gen AI?
So two things come into mind. First of all, people want to panic over people losing their job. The reality is, yes, you're not going to need five people to do one job because now you only need one. So our job is to see how we can use this technology to improve, once again, my life, the organization, every community. How do I use technology to improve? And as you learn that, you can guarantee you're going to have a job. But if people just want to sit back and not continue to learn, yes, it's gonna take a lot of jobs. I mean, in the millions. In the next year, you're gonna start seeing a lot more of these layoffs. I've been warning for 10 years what we are able to do with the technologies, with automation, with everything that we've been able to do. Because with the large language models, the thinking is done for you. Right? So, but you need to know what to put in because garbage in, garbage out. And as engineers, data engineers, we need to flow good quality data so that we can get good data out. Who do the plumbing? The data engineers. Who do the analysis? Data analysts. Who do the science? The data scientists. So all of these things, all these jobs are going to be there. It's just going to use AI to make it a lot easier. So, what happened in the last 10 years is we were able to build the platform, the computing power, either by doing the cloud or the data lakes or everything that technology is being built is speeding up that feeding of these large language models. And now they can use that algorithms that were built to use to predict, to write, or to find data very fast because they have the computing power. The thing is, what's scary to me is the amount of use of this computing power in the next 5 to 10 years because this machine knows how to eat power, that's for sure, because it needs all that to feed. The more data, the more power you need. You have to learn to use technology for your own benefit and for your organization. There is no question, there is no standing and just waiting for technology to. Let me just give you an example. When the Industrial Revolution hit, there were 84% of the people farmers. By the end, there were only 14%. So the shift in the workforce was tremendous. You can remember our grandparents, they left the country to go to the city. These movements of masses of people because of the need of work, because of the need of trade, because of the need of economic growth, make changes at a global level. So AI came here to become the 4.0 industry or the revolution that it's going to change the way we work, we operate. So we have to get used to that and we have to prepare.
Gilda, a lot of great points there, especially kind of the example of the Industrial Revolution. Technology is always advancing throughout human history. And if you're not prepared for it, if you don't understand the value, or if you shun it altogether, then yeah, you're going to be left behind. You're not going to have that job. And you're going to probably hate society. You're going to hate technology, and you're not going to see that value. I appreciate that example. Another thing that you mentioned is garbage in, garbage out. I've been talking to a lot of folks being scared or concerned about the garbage in or data going in that is not represented from a global perspective, or a better way of putting that, when it's only a certain group of people putting in data, how can we make sure that is going to be that global representation, or micro level, just here in the US, how do we make sure the large language models are accurate with the output and addressing the diversity, equity, and inclusion problem?
That's a big question. As organizations go into the AI model, I can guarantee companies that I'm feeding the right source, I'm protecting their data in the cloud, I'm doing all these things to protect and making sure that we have quality data, right? But as far as us, as far as the user, the consumer, when we start pulling data from so many places, do we know that these sources are accurate? We might not. So there's multiple ways to compare and see. There is no one single source of truth. But when you look at the input and output of this data, you have to be sure that the source is credible. So many things out there are going to be just like videos and things that are going to be fake, and but you have to do your homework. It's no longer, oh, let me click in here and listen to what people are saying. No, now is you have to compare and verify that you're getting the data. The government and the laws are catching up, but they weren't as fast for many of what we have already because they just was thrown out there, not regulated. But little by little, we're helping protect data. I mean, you can GDPR in Europe and everything coming here to the United States as well. You know, you can see that the movement. Is it going to take time? Yes, it's going to take time, but at least there's some initiatives to try to regulate.
I guess maybe being a contrarian here, I do agree with analyzing the output, making sure there's no hallucinations. But one thing that I've been noticing, a lot of companies are just quick to start incorporating Gen AI without having that strategic mindset and making sure to analyze, like you said, and to validate that output. For example, call centers are going to be one of the first jobs to go. So let's say just 15 or 20 roles disappear. That hypothetical question, when the AI is engaging with the customer, how do we know it's telling the right data when the managers might not have in the weeds detail? Then how can we validate that output when all the subject matter experts are pushed away? How do we know the output is valid?
It's going to be a trial and error. The more data it gets, the more accurate it becomes. So in the beginning, it's going to hallucinate. In the beginning, it's going to make up stuff. In the beginning, but that's why you have to validate and be there to guide it like a little kid. They are not running as soon as they start standing up. They're going to crawl. They're going to do whatever they can until they know how to run. And then when they run, they're going to be very good. So it's not that it's never going to get there. It's just a matter of time. So it'll fix itself. It's going to be a trial and error until it gets it right. Will it be 100%? Nah, probably not. It comes from humans, and we are not perfect either. It's going to take time, but eventually, yes, AI will be very successful at replacing many of these jobs that are repetitive. The more you feed, the more it knows exactly what it's going to say.
I want to circle back what you said that AI is going to need more power. Are you talking about electrical power?
Oh, computing power. We've prepared the landscape pretty well to see what we have right now, but when it hits the whole global, it's going to need way more power. So we are preparing, by the way. We've been preparing for so long. So at least we're not going to hopefully have an outage anytime soon.
In the next 10 years, quantum computing potentially might be a thing, probably at the government and academia level. I don't think it's going to be in the consumer level. Hopefully, I'm able to see that in my lifetime. I want to transition into kind of your entrepreneurship. Can you, one, walk us through your mindset? I'm super curious on why people transition from day-to-day corporate America. Sometimes they may get pushed in that direction. Sometimes it's, you know what, I can do this on my own and for my own company. So I would love to hear your trajectory when it came to that.
So when I mentor Latinas or Latinos, my goal is not necessarily just push them into a career path, but push them into financial independence. What I mean by that is Once you have the expertise, once you have the knowledge, you can start your own business and you can do consulting. This whole idea of I'm going to stay with company for 25 years, forget about it. That dream is gone. I started back 99 with IBM. I thought I was going to retire with IBM. So you know it, they know it, but it's time for us to prepare to build our own nest or our own financial independence from corporate America. So creating your company, I wouldn't say everybody should start a company, especially in the tech. You have to get the experience. But what I do to guide them is mentoring the roadmap of the skill sets that they need to learn. Once they become expert, how to brand yourself, how to get there, how to network so that you can get clients. And then, okay, now you have a few clients, it's time for you to begin pushing more into getting more clients. It's a process. It's not in technology, it's not something, okay, I'm going to start a company tomorrow. Especially if you are the type of entrepreneur or business venture that I'm doing is me. I am the company, I am the consultant, I am the CEO, I am everything. So you deal it directly with me. And I built a reputation for 25 years so people know what I do, people know how I do it, and I have clients that like what I do. It takes time, and especially in tech, because nobody wants, to be honest with you, the older you get, sometimes they don't want people that are too old to work for these roles. If you're a woman, they don't like working with women. They don't, especially Latinas. No, they don't know what they're doing. You get tired of that stereotyping. And you're like, you know what? I'm not dealing with that. You're going to deal with a data engineer. And these are the skills that I bring. So when you bring the technical competency, the ethnicity, the color, the shape, doesn't matter. Because all they need is your technical skills. And they hire you. They have no choice because there is not many people that know what we do. When I started my business, there was a lot of need for my skills. So that's why I venture into this world. Not that it's easy, but nothing is easy. You might as well do it for yourself.
I love everything that you said, Gilda, especially in one of my previous episodes. The guest mentioned that it's easier to start your own company than it is to find your own job. But
For experienced people, yes, it's a lot easier. Reach out if you need any help. It's not that difficult to start your business. I think the hardest part is to get your clients. And to do that, you have to have had a little bit of networking and already build your reputation in the industry. They know me as the Latina DBA. The whole industry knows me as, pretty much because I'm the only one in the United States. But it's been 20 years of building that network.
thank you for that. And especially having patience, and success doesn't come overnight. So it is definitely hard work. What you're doing is just a lot of amazing work. One thing I wanted to mention, you're mentoring Latinos, Latinas, financial independence, right? As an example, when I grew up, I didn't know anything about financial literacy. We didn't get taught that in public schools. I went through public schools. I had no issue. I think it was in college, maybe after college, I ended up getting the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That taught me financial literacy. What leads to financial independence is that generational wealth that I would argue Latinos and our culture has not had in this country. I really admire you building up our community so we can have that generational wealth. That is something that gives us direction, but also power to control our own paths, how we want to be successful in life. What was that triggering event, though, for you to leave corporate America? To say, hey, I think I can do this, because I really want to get into entrepreneurs' mindset to see if there's a common theme from people to people. For example, that's something I'm looking into because I was pushed in that direction, right? But just kind of curious on your particular journey.
Danny, you get tired of these restructures. We need to reduce cost, and then 1,000 people get laid off. And you're like, oh my God, will I be in that wave? And then you're not. And then you're waiting for the next wave. And that impacts you psychologically. You cannot have your ground be shaken and pull the rugs under you constantly. It's not healthy. It's like a toxic relationship. So corporate America became a toxic relationship. I would go into a company, I feel like, okay, this is perfect. This is where I'm gonna, and then the downturns in the economy and all these things, and you're like, oh my God, now I have to worry about getting laid off and the pandemic, and then I got laid off. The majority of the people that got laid off during the pandemic were Latinas. Okay, the majority. So we are always that scapegoat or that target to remove. So you have to say, okay, I can't change the world, but maybe I can use it towards my advantage. So when I go into a company, I learn everything I need to know. Most of the stuff that I did for these large big four companies, all this is what I do right now for my own businesses. So you helped me, I helped you, right? You taught me all the skills that I needed. Now I can do that. I had a company that I got laid off during the pandemic and then hired me 3 months later. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna hold grudges. I'm like, oh my God, they let me off. They don't love me. No, things happen. They need to bring resource down. They will let you go and then they'll hire you when they have the money. You cannot take things personal, but you can take control of your life and say, you know what? I'm going to learn these skills because this is what I'm going to offer as a service for my client. And that's how you do it. You cannot let other people drive your destiny. You have to take control and drive yourself.
Incredible advice, Gilda. I definitely agree with you 110%. So thank you for sharing that. I think there is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. A lot of people that have been pushed out are diving headfirst into that entrepreneurship. So
And
thank
that's,
you for
Danny, it is very critical if you want to have that security. Two things: that you build your competency. That is your biggest challenge. That is your biggest goal when you start with a company. You're going to build yourself like you are the CEO of your own company. You're going to become expert at that. So you're going to develop a discipline on getting all the knowledge you get in 5 years. I'm not going to say this is easy, but it's going to take you 5 years to become an expert. Okay. With that, now you have secured that opportunity of getting started as your in your own company. Okay. Second of all, save money so that when you get laid off, it's not such a stressful situation for you that have to take any job out of whatever because you need to support yourself. You need to be able to value yourself. And I'm not getting paid less than this, period. And then if they don't pay you, then you move to the next. And that's what you secure your mobility higher in the income bracket. So, two very important things: build your competency, build your financial security, your financial cushion, and then you're set to go.
Yeah. No, thank you for that advice. That's something that I'm already thinking social media clips, just what you mentioned, because a lot of people don't think that way, right? They're buying for whatever reason, trying to keep up with the Ramirez.
Gonzalez.
Or Gonzalez, I change it up. Instead of keeping up with the Joneses, throw a Latino surname there. But no, you're right.
That's a very typical culture thing. I've never been like that. I come from a very humble family, very poor. You know, rice and tuna. Sometimes that's all we had, or rice and egg. You survive. And sometimes it's the best thing you can have, even compared to a lobster. All these things that you get to know how to save money helps you because there's going to be times where you're going to have 3 jobs and 3 clients, and you save money. And then when you don't have it, you don't have to stress yourself. You're like, relax. Always keep your savings. That is your biggest weapon to protect you from companies that want to pay you less, companies that want to treat you horribly. You're like, I'm sorry, I don't take this. I'm leaving. As I grown in my career and I built my financial cushion, I'm like, I'm not putting up with this. And that's something you have to prepare to do that. You can't just start in corporate America and say, okay, I'm going to quit. No. You're going to build that until you finally get there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Transitioning topics, Gilda, you had mentioned that you mentor Latinas. Is that part of your company services? You do that on your side? And if somebody listening is resonating with everything you said and they want you to be their mentor, is that something they can do? Can you give us a little bit more insight in that?
So I have a nonprofit, Latinas in Data, which is a mentoring and apprenticeship program to get people to the data analytic world, which is not that difficult. I would say the easiest, cheapest career path you can get into. It's going to help you in any area. And I do that 2 times a year. It's all free. It's all free to Latinas. If my company grows, then I have the pipeline to hire people to do what I do, right?
So Latinas in Data, I'll make sure to put all the links, websites,
I
social
also
media links.
I also have a book in Amazon called Latina in Data, Navigating the Tech Terrain. That all the proceeds go into helping Latinas get mentored.
That's awesome. Is there any way other people can help you mentor as well? Or is this just you?
I have a very large community. Latinas in Data, we organize summits. We are globally helping. I have many other behind me women that are also helping mentoring. We do this truly out of our own purpose to help other women navigate this world of data. It's very specific. We don't do anything else. We just specifically focus on data literacy.
I know we're coming close to time. So there's a couple of things I want to switch to is the DEI landscape here in this country. And I know you're talking about one of the main reasons why you left corporate America, because you're tired of the stereotypes that people have for Latinas. I would argue that's discrimination, right? But in your perspective, how do we refocus the DEI discussion in this country? I would love to understand how to elevate that and bring it to the forefront of corporate America, if that makes sense.
So I've been in tech for 25 years. So I've seen the landscape from the beginning. And the positive thing is that it has changed and it looks brighter today than it was 25 years ago. I can tell you that for sure. So at this point, you have the option, or do I feel a victim? Do I take that victimhood type mentality? Or I always say, if there's nothing there, you learn and you build it, right? So with Latinas in Data, what I try to do is I try to teach people the tools they need to navigate this. Because climbing the data or the tech summit is not an easy task. Technology is not easy. Technology is like the mountain that keeps climbing, the landscapes keeps moving. But you want to get to the summit because the view is amazing. So I invite people to climb with me. We cannot go and everybody sit down and say, this mountain is too high and the weather is terrible. We could sit down and wait, but it's not going to take us anywhere. It's important to try to build the community to understand the reality of the terrain and give you the tools on how to climb it. I think that's better. Up until today, I haven't seen that type of initiative. Most of the initiatives that I've had with diversity, equity, and inclusion has been, let's all get together. All the Latinos get together. Black African American community. All this is all gotten. Nobody has gotten the tools to climb. None of them. So to me, the best way to help people is to teach them. And it doesn't have the Latino community. I teach everybody, but I focus my vision to have more Latinas. So I'm representing here and I bring other people that want to look like me. And that's how we start climbing this mountain. But it has to start with giving people tools, not motivation. When you look at that mountain, it's pretty high. So you're not just going to need motivation to get up there. You're going to need tools and strengthening and learning how to get up there, and your legs and your muscles and everything is work. So when you send the reality across, people now get it. Maybe I don't want to climb that mountain. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to climb it. But those that do want to climb it, let me show you how to do it.
Yeah. The tools to climb that mountain. I really love that analogy.
Diversity is getting invited to the party. Inclusion is when they ask you to dance. And equality can only be achieved when you're part of the planning committee. Okay? That's why I teach. That's why I generate a group of people where we build around technology. I'm teaching people how to dance. And you're going to enjoy it more than if you just stand there and watch everybody dancing and having fun.
No, that's a powerful message, Gilda. Thank you for sharing that. This has been an amazing conversation. And how I wrap up each episode is I'm a lifelong learner. Until I'm going to be a viejito, hopefully I'm going to be a viejito, still reading, still learning technology and everything else. So what books have you recently read or currently reading that really resonate with you?
The Power of Now has been very life changing. I'm also diving into neurodiversity, understanding how the mind works. One thing that you do when you teach is you assume people have that specific mindset. So getting to learn how other people learn, it's crucial, especially with AI coming into the picture. Because sometimes AI becomes that gap, like that I can plug in and boom, that person elevates to the next level. It's like the calculator, right? So many people are, oh my God, spend hours because there was an issue with their eyes that they couldn't see the letters and and they couldn't figure out, but then the calculator came and did everything for them and boom, they were able to get to the next level. The same thing is with AI. AI is that calculator, but at the language level. So helping people to get that learning path, and I'm building like different models of teaching and learning.
I'll make sure to put those books on the show notes as well. Gilda,
If you want to read my book too, I use a DevOps mentality for the learning as well.
I definitely plan to get that book. I have a whole stack of books over here on my left-hand side that I need to get to. I'll make sure to link your book as well. But this has been an amazing conversation. I really want to keep on going and go into the weeds, especially with that financial independence, the mentorship that you're doing, the data literacy. You're doing a lot of amazing work. Thank you for providing that back to the community, because I think we need more people like you, teachers, mentors, that want to build up that next generation. And one other thing too, representation, right? We Latinos don't have that. Once we see more of us in leadership positions, whether that's in corporate America or building the next Google, the next Microsoft, but a Latino, Latina leading that, that's going to be key. Thank you for joining me on Inclusive Cyber, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Have a great day. Take care.